Hello everyone, today I'm going to tell you my friend's story. Lucien Duffert wasn't the kind of man who scared easily. He had been working as a pathologist for nearly 8 years at the Saint-Benoît Municipal Morgue in Lyon, France. In that time, he'd opened hundreds of bodies, examined unspeakable injuries, and smelled the kind of decay that made most people vomit within seconds. Lucien's philosophy was simple: the dead can't hurt you. He believed it. He lived by it. But there's a night he never talks about in public. When he tells it to me, his voice gets low, and his eyes keep darting over his shoulder as if he expects something to be standing right behind him. It happened during one of his overnight shifts. Winter had locked Lyon in a suffocating cold. The streets were empty. The only sounds were the hum of faraway traffic and the occasional groan of pipes in the old building. The Saint-Benoît morgue was a relic, built in the late 1800s, long before modern hospitals. Its walls were thick stone, the windows narrow and barred, the corridors dimly lit by flickering fluorescent bulbs that hummed like tired insects. Lucien often took a flask of cognac to keep the chill away, as he said. Sometimes he went further, small lines of powdered escape on a stainless steel tray in the staff room. That night, he had indulged more than usual. Around 11:30 p.m., the morgue received a body. A woman. She was in her late 20s, maybe 30. Long black hair, pale skin that seemed almost translucent under the harsh surgical light. Her lips curled into the faintest smile, as if mocking anyone who looked at her. Her eyes were closed, but something about her expression made Lucien uneasy. The report from the police was thin. Multiple stab wounds. Found in an abandoned warehouse by the Rhone River. No defensive injuries, no signs of a struggle. Whoever had killed her, she had let them. Lucien wheeled her into autopsy room 2. The air in there was colder than the rest of the morgue. The ventilation rattled above, pushing icy drafts over the metal table. He adjusted the surgical lamp so it burned bright over her chest, put on gloves, and lined his tools neatly beside him: scalpel, bone saw, forceps, rib shears. He began the Y incision. The scalpel slid into her chest without resistance, but as soon as he made the first cut, a violent shiver ran up his spine. His breath clouded in front of him, though the thermostat read a constant 8 degrees. That's when he heard it. Soft. Raspy. A whisper that came from somewhere deep inside the room. Arete, stop. Lucien froze. His first thought, someone else was in the room. But the corners were empty, shadows clinging to the walls. He swallowed, shook his head, and muttered to himself, "Too much cognac." He continued, pressing the blade deeper into her torso. Her left hand twitched. At first, he thought it was just the body settling. Post-mortem muscle movement. He'd seen it before. But then her right hand twitched. Then both arms. Then, her eyelids opened. Lucien's heart stopped. Her eyes weren't dull like other corpses. They were sharp, wide, and glistening, as if she'd been alive the entire time, just pretending. Bloodshot veins spread out from her irises, which glowed faintly red in the surgical light. The faint smile on her lips widened, stretching unnaturally far, small tears forming at the corners of her mouth. Lucien stumbled backward, knocking over a tray of instruments. They hit the floor with a deafening clang. The sound seemed to excite her. She sat up with a jerky, bone-snapping motion. Her head lolled unnaturally to one side, neck cracking loudly, and a wet, rattling breath escaped her lips. Her voice was deeper now, layered, as if more than one person was speaking through her. "You can't cut me." Lucien backed toward the door, but she moved fast, too fast for something that should be dead. Her bare feet slapped against the tile, leaving smears of dark, half-clotted blood. She lunged, grabbing his throat with ice-cold hands. Her grip was iron, crushing his windpipe. He gasped, his eyes bulging, his fingers clawing at her wrists. "You can't cut me," she whispered again, her breath rancid with the stench of rot. "I'm already awake." Lucien's vision blurred. His knees buckled. Somewhere on the floor, his scalpel lay among the scattered tools. He reached out blindly, his fingertips brushing cold steel. With the last of his strength, he drove the blade into her left eye. The blade sank deep, but she didn't scream. She didn't even flinch. Instead, her lips pulled into that same ghastly smile. Thick, black fluid ran down her cheek, dripping onto his shirt. Then she laughed, a dry, hacking sound like bones scraping together. Lucien shoved her backward, breaking her grip. He bolted for the door, his shoes skidding in the slick blood that now covered the floor. The morgue's corridors seemed longer than usual. Each turn looked the same, white tile, gray walls, flickering lights. His own footsteps echoed wildly, but behind them, another set followed. Slap, slap, slap. Wet, dragging, uneven. He didn't look back. He didn't want to see how close she was. Lucien burst through the main hall, past the refrigerated drawers where dozens of other bodies lay. The sound of the footsteps grew louder, faster, splashing through invisible puddles. The overhead lights began shutting off one by one, as if something was following him and killing the light with its presence. He reached the final set of double doors and slammed his shoulder into them. They swung open into the freezing night air. Snow fell in thick, lazy flakes. His car was parked at the far end of the lot, half buried in white. He sprinted. Halfway there, something made him glance over his shoulder. She was standing in the doorway of the morgue, barefoot in the snow, her hospital gown fluttering in the wind. Her skin was almost blue now, but her smile was wider than ever. She raised one hand and waved slowly, fingers twitching like broken bones. Lucien drove home and didn't stop for red lights or speed limits. He sat in his apartment until sunrise, shaking, staring at the door as if expecting her to knock. He quit the morgue the next day. Packed what little he had and moved to Marseille, far from Lyon, far from Saint Benoit. For months, he didn't dream. Or maybe he just didn't remember. But one night, he woke at 3:17 a.m. to a sound. Slap, slap, slap. Wet, dragging footsteps in the hallway outside his bedroom. When he opened his eyes, there was no one there. But the air was freezing, his breath fogging in the dark. And in the faint reflection of the window, he swore he saw her. Smiling. Lucien has never told this story to anyone else. But when he told it to me, he leaned forward, his voice shaking. "She's not gone," he whispered. "She's looking for me. And one night, she'll find me. And that's why, whenever I hear footsteps in the dark, I start to run."